Welcome to the Impact Maker's Journey from Passion to Profits, the podcast showcasing heart-centered coaches, experts, and energy healers who are on a mission to change lives and create meaningful success doing what they love. I'm your host, Wendy Vaughn, business success coach and founder of Impact Maker Coaching. And I've got to be honest, the path from passion to profits is rarely easy, but it's always filled with growth, clarity, and surprising rewards. Now, each week I sit down with inspiring impact makers who have turned their knowledge and wisdom into thriving businesses that are making a meaningful difference for others. I will explore their personal and professional journeys, how they found their calling, and how they continue to stay aligned with their passion along the way. So if you're here to expand your vision about what's possible for yourself, you're in the right place. So join me as we discover the positive ripple effects created by today's guest. All right, I have as my guest today, Chuck Anderson. Now, Chuck is known as the Affiliate Management Maestro. Well, that's what I call him anyway. He specializes in working with coaches and enlightened business owners to help them find, nurture, and manage relationships with affiliates, JV partners, and ambassadors. So welcome, Chuck. I am super excited to have you as my guest today.
Oh, Wendy, thank you so much. And I know that, we talked about this months ago, and finally our schedules and the stars have aligned that we can be here.
Here we are. Yeah. And I'm super excited. I'm looking forward to just, discovering more about your journey, right? Mm-hmm. From passion to profit, and just, how that has kind of evolved into this important work that you're doing right now. And, discovering more about the path that's led you to this point is super interesting for me because I think you'll agree that every entrepreneur's journey is unique. We're all individuals living our own lives, and, spontaneity, thin threads, wake-up calls, it's all part of this, pathway that leads us to the work we're doing. And it typically includes, what I've found anyway, is that both business development is needed and personal development, with that mission or vision of truly making that profound difference for others. But the journey from passion to profits is not easy. So I'd love to hear a little bit about you. So curiously, how long have you been an affiliate management expert, or maestro, I think is a better word to call it, Chuck?
Yeah, we'll have to change all my branding now to get the maestro in there.
And what prompted you to start this journey?
Yeah, a series of unexpected and I guess events that I am now grateful for, but at the time kind of sucked. Or at least that was my perception at the time. Nice. And so I was first of all, very blessed to be introduced to affiliate marketing back in 1999 by a really good friend of mine, former business partner. We had gotten out of a very expensive learning experience with a business in the telecom industry that didn't go well. And neither of us at the time had any money. I go over to his house. He has a check sitting there for just over $10,000. And I, of course, based on what we had gone through, I'm like, what is that? Where did you get that? And so he shows me this very ugly website, and all websites, to be fair, in 1999 were ugly. But I
don't think I even had one then, to be honest.
Right? Yeah. And building a website in 1999 was a whole thing. Not easy like it is now. Right. And but he had showed me this website, and it had a couple links on there. And he explained that, well, if somebody clicks this link and they go over here and they sign up for this other service, they pay me money, and it's a commission. So that was my first introduction to affiliate marketing. And
wait, what? That's it? They just click there and then they pay you.
And then they pay you. So that's there's two sides to affiliate marketing. You're either the one earning the commission or you're the one paying the commission. And so that's where I started off, is earning. And then people started asking, like, how do you do this? And so I started teaching classes, and then I did a course, and then I was invited to speak, and I got to do that for a while. I was eventually recruited by my largest competitor. I was, doing $500,000 a year, and they were doing $20 million a year, and so. And said, "Hey, come on board. We'll send you all around the world. You can go and train them on how to do this." And so I was very blessed to be invited to do that, and eventually rose to the ranks of director of marketing, which included how we generated all of our leads and where all of our customers came from, and how did we fill seats in our seminars. And I would say that out of that 20 million that we did annually, just over 40% of that came from our affiliates. So people sending their leads and their traffic to us, we would then sign them up as clients and then turn around and pay them a commission back. And so that was my first introduction to the other side of affiliate marketing, is now managing the affiliates.
Right.
And yeah, which was great until the company was sold and everyone lost their job except for one, and that was me. They kept me to help transition to the new owners. It was a very short contract, but I had to transition them to the new owners, and I had a choice to make. I'm like, do I do this as a job, right, for these new owners, or do I go out on my own?
Keep building somebody else's vision.
Yeah. And I just, I just didn't feel. I mean, came out of the blue, to me,
there was no
and I'm like,
left in terms of staying on board.
And I don't know these guys, so do I really want to do this? And I've never been a job guy. I mean, I grew up as a farmer. My dad and my grandfather, they were both independent, so I know what the whole self-employed thing looked like. So I decided to go out on my own, and where we started helping people market their businesses through setting up affiliate programs and then recruiting, training, and managing affiliates to help them to do their marketing. And when compared to some of the other strategies, such as paid advertising, which you may or may not have the budget for, or search engine optimization and social media marketing, and which you may not have the patience for. Affiliate marketing is one that it's got the shortest pathway with the lowest cost. All it really takes is building relationships. And so that's kind of how I ended up here. I think that was the question, is like how did I come how did I go from there to here? And that's I skipped a lot of stuff, but that's the the short version.
No, I love that. Just kind of that moment when, well, I could stay in corporate and I know I'd have a job. Right, because they obviously you knew your stuff. You knew how to manage. You knew how to do it. You could teach it. Did everything. So you had that expertise. But there was a part of you that said, "Yeah, I want a little bit more of that flexibility and to be in charge of and not have the rug pulled out from under me anymore."
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just like, do I really want to do this corporate thing? For the rest of my life. I mean, I kind of ended up there. I didn't go seeking a career, as a senior manager. I really didn't want to do that. I've always been a creator, and I like kind of doing my own thing on my own schedule. So it just didn't really work out.
Right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So in building your business then, did you have a clear strategy for launching your own business?
I didn't at the time. What I did was I got off to a very quick start leveraging relationships that I had developed during my time at the big company. And so, relationship. And it's actually the key. I mean, I always tell people in my workshops, remember that word relationship. I'm going to say it a lot because that is really the key. So leveraging the relationships that I built up during that time at the company, I got off to a very fast start. Now, when you get off to a fast start, you feel successful that quickly, you think you've got it all figured out. But there's a big difference between being a director of marketing and a team of 15 people who can do all the work to being just you serving clients.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple years went by, and I started to struggle. And the new clients weren't coming in the way they were before, and I started to make some mistakes. I did things that I always say that I feel like I should have known better. I lowered my prices thinking that more clients were going to come in. That didn't happen. I got the same number of clients, but now at a lower rate. So now I was struggling. And
Gotcha.
out of desperation, I spent money on paid advertising that with the money that I couldn't afford to spend and couldn't afford to lose, and lost it all. And I only had one option left. And so and that was affiliate. I reflected on my time at the company. I
Your
said,
own genius. Yeah. That was
I
like,
had completely overlooked it and completely
it's
forgot
like,
about it.
wait a
And it
second,
wasn't
Chuck.
right. Yeah. And it wasn't until that moment of desperation that I said that, like, what was our most effective thing? And it was affiliates. And so, I had to figure out what to do. And so what I did was I wrote a webinar and an offer, and I found somebody through some outreach that I already knew. Again, leveraging relationships, and convinced him to promote the webinar. At this point,
That probably was
I'm at
not that
zero.
that heavy of a lift in terms of he knows you know your stuff, and if it's a win-win, there's really no convincing, right, Chuck? It's
Yeah,
an opportunity.
it was leveraging the relationship for sure. I mean, if there was one part about it, it was my own desperation, because at this point I was almost at zero. And so I hosted the webinar. I had the webinar, but I didn't really have enough time and runway. So this is about just late November of 2012. We were not going to make it to January.
Mm.
And so he agreed that he would promote the webinar, I would deliver the webinar, and then I would sell the program and do everything else after that. So he promoted the webinar. Just under 100 people got registered for it, and we ended up selling 9 people into a $4,000 coaching program. So we went from 0 to 36,000 in one webinar, and I paid him 40% of that. So 14,000 went to him, 22,000 went to me at a time when I was almost at zero.
You were afloat.
One affiliate, one webinar.
One
And
webinar.
yeah.
Yeah. What a game changer. What a game
Right?
changer. And and that's happens so often in terms of blind spots, right? It's like we're the greatest insight and expert to others on all this stuff. But it's like, oh, I forgot to be my own client, tell myself what I know. So I
Right.
love that kind of awakening that you had, but it was a game changer for you. It's like, wow, why should I gamble on all this other stuff when I know what I do it works? Yeah.
It's so easy to overlook the thing that we're the best at. And, I've had a lot of conversations with people who've done that, and I was doing that myself. And I had to get back to, what is my gift? What is the thing that I'm the best at?
Yeah, absolutely. And when I introduced you, Chuck, I mentioned that that you serve coaches and enlighten business owners in helping them to grow their business using this strategy. So can you tell us a little bit more about them? What's going on for them? These coaches and business owners that has them finally realize it's time. It's time to ask for your expert guidance, your wisdom and support.
Mm-hmm. I love this group so much because they are healers, they are coaches, they are people who are engaged in work that helps people's lives be better. And one of the things that I find with that group, and I've been serving them now for a long time, they are really good at the coaching part and not so good at the marketing part.
Right.
And there's if we had a full day, I would launch into all the reasons why. But I think it's fair to say that they're really good at the coaching, not as good as at the marketing. And they,
There's an aversion. There's like it's an
yeah,
resistance because it doesn't feel right.
exactly. Well, yes, alignment is huge, right?
Mhm.
And so it's got to feel right because as coaches, we're very touchy-feely, and so if it doesn't feel, if it doesn't resonate, if it doesn't align, then we don't want to do it. But it also leaves us susceptible to marketing that you know sounds like it's too good to be true and usually is. Like, go and run this ad campaign and you'll be full with clients forever. Some say that one on one coaching is better than group. Some say group coaching is better than one on one. And at the end of the day, I can tell you it really doesn't matter. Do a course, do a group coaching program, do one on one, do whatever suits you, because that's not the issue. The issue is you need a pipeline of clients that you make it easy for them to find you, and then you use your gifts to attract them in and turn them into clients. And it's very similar to what I described. What I do with webinars and affiliates and all of that is you just got to have a nice, easy way for them to reach you, and then shut out all this marketing stuff that sounds too good to be true. You don't need a magic bullet. You don't need the magic wand. What you need is just a really good, solid strategy, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, and it can be leveraging a lot of the relationships you already have. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that, being able to step away from complicated technology, funnels, marketing, all that sort of stuff is really a breath of fresh air for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, in fact, I would love to hear, if you wouldn't mind, a little kind of an inside look at, what an experience has been for one of your clients in working with you.
Yeah, and it's hard to pick just one because they're all my favorites. I love my clients dearly. I'll tell you about. So Yvonne has been with me for now just about 18 months, and and she was an interesting case because just before COVID, she had a fairly decent coaching practice, but then during COVID, all of those clients went away, and found herself starting from zero again, and did what so many coaches do when they don't have enough clients is they start changing their messaging, rebuilding their website. And I call this moving the furniture around. It doesn't solve the problem, but it feels like you're productive temporarily.
It feels like I filled my day with something.
Yeah, exactly. And so when she came to me, she'd gone through about 12 different iterations of new messaging, and we just had to say stop. Like, what was, when it really comes down to it, what are you the best at? Let's develop your messaging around that and develop a webinar that really showcases, because coaching is a relationship business. You need to be able to develop relationships. So it's not just come in, book a call on my calendar, and then become a client. It's like they need to know you a little bit. So like, let's do a webinar. Let's go revert back to the previous messaging that was working really well. And let's find a couple of people to help you to promote the webinar so that you have an audience to speak to. And so that's what we did. And through that, we learned more and more about the audience. We dialed in the messaging. We got more and more partners. She now today has a podcast and a summit and an affiliate program and the same webinar every single month. You don't have to write a new webinar. Just do the same webinar every single month, and acquires new clients now every single month. And it doesn't matter. I mean, some months it's one, and some months it's three. We've had other months where it was more than that, and then it's like, oh, I have no time left. But the point is that it can get to that point where you have this constant flow that you can control how big or small it is based on your schedule. And it was really all down to dialing in the messaging, doing one webinar and doing it well every single month. So you don't have to come up with a new one. And then build and leverage relationships to help you to fill that webinar every month. And now things are very consistent. And we're now talking about potentially co-creating some things together. And so to go from the struggle to now, like, there's partnership material here, has been huge.
Yeah, no, that's it. That is, and it must be such a relief for her to be back in control and feeling that rhythm of, nope, I just know. I know now that when I do this webinar, I've got this and that and everything is, and just, feel that momentum. So yeah, I love that. I love that. So
In fact, the struggle was letting go of all of the ineffective things that were being done habitually. Once we finally got to that point, that's when things got easier.
yeah, well, speaking of that, I would love to get your perspectives on, you talked a little bit about starting your coaching business. I don't know that I'd call it a coaching business per se, but you have a bit of that perspective in it, and you've helped a lot of others in that mode. So, what would you do if you were to start a new coaching business from scratch?
If I was to start tomorrow with a new coaching program in a new niche market, I would do three things. The first thing is get very clear on my offer and who it's for, right? So I call it having an irresistible offer. So if you have and the definition is a specific solution to a specific problem for a specific type of person or a specific audience. And so I'm going to create that irresistible offer. It solves a problem. You got to have that or you're not going to get clients, right? And so, and then I work backwards and go, okay, well, how am I going to sell that? Well, I'm going to sell that through doing free consultations. And where do I get those from? That's where I'm going to host a webinar every month. So I'm going to write a webinar that is to that specific group, and it highlights the specific problem they have and why they have it. And then I'm going to talk about what the steps are to solve that problem, and then invite them to book a call with me so I can make my offer. So we've got the offer, we've got the webinar, and then the third thing is I'm going to get partners to help me to fill the webinar every single month. And so these are my affiliates. These are joint venture partners where we collaborate and cross promote each other. There are also our existing clients who can invite people to that webinar every single month. So it's really those three things: an irresistible offer, a webinar I can do every single month, and then partners to help me to fill it. And every month I get clients by following up the attendees of the previous webinar, and then I'm working towards booking my partnerships for filling my next webinar. And that's our every month. And
Just
we
rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's what my clients are doing. And, the coaching that comes in is helping them to develop the relationships, because this is a relationship business.
Yes. And that is really one of the fun things about it, right? And when we're solopreneurs, sometimes it feels isolated, right? Like we're on this island, and I live on an island, but literally feeling isolated because we're not interacting enough with people. And so your approach, I love it on that regard too, is it builds in that level of just relationships that are like, hey, it's a team, hey, yeah, absolutely. The collaboration part. So, and obviously, you're super passionate about doing this work. I can just feel that energy as you're talking about the success of your clients and just the simplicity and the predictability. So, but what I've seen over the course of 7 years now that I've been coaching, literally hundreds of coaches and energy workers, is that frequently that passion dwindles, for various reasons. Mainly is because it takes a lot of effort and energy to build a business that's maybe lurching and, feeling the impacts of external impediments or whatever, and it takes a combination of passion, tenacity, and the right strategy, right, to build that thriving and growing business, because all too often we end up feeling burnout. So I'm just curious, what is your approach? What do you do to continue fueling your passion for helping these people? Because like I said, I can just sense this. It's not like just a job where you're waking up Monday and it's like, all right, let's see what I got to do today. It's like you just literally are leaning in and coming to life as you're talking about this. So what's your secret?
I'm very motivated and driven by improvement. I adopted, self improvement, into my life a long time ago, and it's like, how do we always improve? And one of the things is I'm never satisfied with the results. They may sound really good, or they really sound are awesome, but then I will ask myself, well, how could we do better? How could we make it better? And
Right.
so I'll journal about that. I have a journal. I go to a coffee shop 2, 3 times a week. And the first thing I do is I will, for the first 15, 20 minutes, is I'll just journal about something and say, and then just ask the question, like, how can I make this better? Is there anything else that we can be doing? Is there a way to make it easier? And
Mm-hmm.
I just love what comes out, some of the ideas that we have, and I want to do all of them. And so I'm very driven by ideas, and because look, I love how you described the audience that you work with and the types of coaches, and they are so skilled, and I mean, the healers and practitioners that
Mm-hmm.
we've worked with. I mean, some of them just I'm in awe. I don't have the same skills they have,
Yeah.
but I find it a giant tragedy when they quit because they couldn't get clients. And now that gift has been taken off the table.
Right.
And so why I journal about how can we improve, how can we do better, it's because, we want to serve more and more of these people and get to them before they reach that point where
It's
it's like, no, I can't do this anymore. I gave it a good try. I'm not going to do it because we need those gifts, right? There's a reason why they have them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I believe that, helping people to achieve new levels of their own success or more happiness or joy all creates that huge ripple effect, right? It really, it not only in the specific work that they're doing, but then the individuals that those people work with, it just up levels everybody. I believe it's infinite. I believe that positive ripple effect. And in fact, one of my early mentors was Mark Victor Hansen, the co-author for Chicken Soup for the Soul. He wasn't my direct mentor, but I was in a 3% club, is what he and Bob Proctor called it. But it was a mastermind, and he taught me, and he teaches everybody this basically. But he said, Wendy, you need to have a big, hairy, audacious goal, something that just fuels your passion and helps you to overcome yourself, helps you to get beyond these little speed bumps. Just something that it just sends goosebumps up your arms when you think about it. So for me, in all my journey through my entrepreneurial career, I've had different iterations of a BHAG, as he calls it, right?
Mhm.
And currently mine is simply to raise consciousness within humanity. I get fired up about that, and all the turmoil and everything out there. But the thing is, I can only do that by supporting, like you said, the coaches and the energy workers and the healers and the practitioners to do their work, right? To build those thriving businesses, because they're the ones that are creating this big ripple effect. So that's what gets me jazzed, is raising consciousness and making the world a better place. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Chuck.
Yeah.
You have a big audacious goal that fires you up, a vision for yourself or your business or the future because of the work you do?
I do. And I thank you for sharing yours because it reminds me of why you and I get along so well, why we're so well aligned. Because, my vision is very similar to yours. I always say this on my podcast, and that, our mission is to help people live happier, more fulfilling lives now. Not later, but now, because they might just be one collaboration away or one partnership away or, of a breakthrough. And I've looked into the eyes of people when they've had a breakthrough, and it is just the most moving thing.
Mhm.
And this is why I love working with coaches, and I just love doing the work. So my goal is, in addition to the podcast and working with coaches, I actually have a vision of helping millions of people to live happier, more fulfilling lives. We're actually looking to acquire a coaching company
Oh,
because we actually think that we could take what we do and add that to another coaching business and like really kind of scale it and get it out there in a really really big way.
yeah.
In the previous company, I got a little bit of a taste. We had 30 coaches that we had to keep fed with clients and all of that. And wouldn't it be amazing to have like 1,000 of those
Mhm.
coaches
Yeah,
all serving 50 to 100 clients a
exactly.
year?
Oh my gosh.
And what
Yeah,
would
the
the
ripple
ripple
effect.
effect of that be? Right?
Huge, huge.
Right?
Yep, exactly. Yes, we are on the same page.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah, I love that.
Mark would be very proud of us
I
for
think so too. Yes, carrying the torch.
yeah.
So, well, Chuck, this has just been, so interesting and insightful to listen to how you work and support people and to help them to do the work that they feel inspired to do, right? To make life easier for them, to make it possible for them to serve and support others in a way that feels aligned. So what's the best next step for listeners in our audience who are curious and want to learn more about what it's like to work with you, or what's the next best step?
Yeah, one of and I've been talking about it the whole time, is that monthly webinar
Oh,
that
the
we do
webinar. Yes, of
you know,
course.
come attend my webinar. It's 90 minutes of, we don't hold back. We give you all of the steps, the information. You could go there and get what you need. You can go out and do it on your own or get our help or whatever you want to do, but get the information, get the model, and start to leverage partnerships right away to
Perfect.
give you that flow of clients. So it's free. um, we do that every single month, and I don't know how you share the link, like if
Yeah,
it's just kind of
listeners, just look in the show notes and they'll
right.
find Chuck's link there. So
That's the best
perfect.
way. Other way, we
Awesome.
don't try to spell URLs or anything like that. And then if anybody wants to just kind of connect with me or whatever, chuck360.com, and it's got a link to my everything, right? My socials, my website, and everything. But I will tell you that the thing that will move the needle the most for you is that webinar. You will come away with the model that we talked about here today and exactly the steps you need to start to put it into practice. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I love
Yeah.
that. And I just want to thank you again, Chuck, for sharing your journey and really truly expanding our view of what's possible for coaches and business owners in a way that is just, it builds on the essence of human nature, right? Relationships. So I love your brilliance, your dedication, your vision, and thank you so much for the work that you do.
Thank you, Wendy. Thanks for having me here. This has been great.
Absolutely. All right. Bye. All right. Well, the real life transformations facilitated by experts like my guest today are truly priceless. I mean, happiness, joy, peace, love, right? These are all what each of us ultimately strives for in life. But becoming a sought after and well paid coach or energy healer is often challenging, overwhelming, and frustrating. So, if you're a heart centered coach, expert, or energy healer who's striving for more ease, flow, and abundance, well, I've created a special gift just for you. So, check out the show notes. All right. Well, this is Wendy Vaughn signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to join me for my next episode where we'll be inspired by yet another impact maker's journey.